Here we go. Welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. This is fantastic. It's a very exciting Canadian Bro Show, and thanks for joining us. If you haven't been here before, my name is Paul Bale. I'm the host and the founder of the Canadian Bro Show. And to my left and to your right, as we're not filming live, although we're live in real life, this will be up in the next few days. We have a couple of videos backlogged, but I'm really excited for this. Is the talented, my friend of over 52 years, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, but good things can last. And that is Mr. Johnny Leister, the co-host of the Canadian Bro Show. Thank you, Johnny, from Vancouver. How are things in Vancouver? How is Johnny, briefly, before we get into the show?
I'm very happy. If you're listening to the show for the first time, I'm a self-published author. I have a series of detective stories called Lee Hackman, Private Investigator, and I've had some hiccups recently with Draft to Digital, fussing over the covers. They have very concise specifications about how the covers need to be designed, and I've been adding Edward to my name and so forth. But today I actually published 4 more Lee Hackman mysteries, 2 that were on the back burner. So thank you very much. I'm very excited about that. My dream.
Congratulations. That's exceptional. And for those, if I may just offer an objective, albeit slightly biased, account of Johnny's prolific writing. He's an exceptional wordsmith, and his main character, I plead him to make a 250-page novella of however many chapters and make it his first one and get it online, because it is really witty, very funny. And I have the pleasure of knowing his caricature, his writing, and I've known Johnny 52 years, so there's a lot of synonymous traits in that. And he's an exceptionally talented writer, and I'm thinking, late 70s detective series on Netflix.
Oh,
yes.
Boy, that's the gong I want to bang. That's the gong I want to ring.
Oh, God bless you. And
Miyagi style.
Yeah, no doubt. But listen, let's focus on the show, Johnny. I always like to talk about Johnny and his talents.
My favorite topic.
Well, yeah, Johnny is absolutely the most shameless person in terms of self-awareness and self-publication. He's always looking for a literary agent. I'm saying, well, why don't you just create your own agency online? Because there's a lot of talented people just like you that deserve a presence, and not just deserve, we need that type of talent. And getting back to talent, this is a very exciting episode. It's episode 40, and Johnny and I are celebrating 1 year. I wanted to make this intro a little bit shorter. I do apologize, but there are repeating people that come back to our show, and I just give them a heads up because they don't know either. So anyways, welcome to the Canadian Bro Show on YouTube. It's our fun podcast. It's exclusively fabulous, of course, most of the time. It's free, entertaining podcast. This is episode 40, where evil prevails, darkness takes the crown. It's part of our movie preview series, When the Bad Guys Win. All things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny. And Johnny, I'm very excited to dig into this. Whose turn is it? Last episode, which is coming up tomorrow, is called Blood and Dust, about violent westerns. What's that? Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead, Frank. Let's get it on.
Oh, let's get it on.
I am super psyched.
Yeah, I am too. I think I'll actually go with this one. I was going to go with something a little bit more modern, but this one just captured my imagination because I saw it. It was filmed in 1975 by one of my favorite directors, and it was very dark. In 1975, I was barely 9 years old and watched this on a black and white RCA 10-inch television in my living room at Belfort Rentals in Kitsilano. And the movie is called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
It's on my list.
And it blew my mind. I'm not sure. I think I might have seen Jack Nicholson with Peter Fonda and that the hippie film when they the Easy Rider.
Easy Rider with Dennis Hopper.
Oh my God, man, that was another. But this is a different genre, and the reason why I picked One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is because we're talking about, at the end of the day, there's a lot of evil out there, and there's a lot of goodness out there, and sometimes the good doesn't win, and the evil does, and what happens? Well, these are examples of movies where a good guy, or at least he thinks he's a good guy, and ends up being a really twisted, evil, psychopathic murderer or whatever, serial killer.
Either way it
And
happens.
so we wanted to explore this. And this movie directed by Milos Forman, and some really good writers attached to it, stars Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher, who won the Academy Award for her performance. She was pure unadulterated evil.
She was very bad.
Oh my God. And to say the least, and hence the title of our show. And there are people out there, but I mean, an incredible cast. Scatman Crothers, for those that don't remember, Danny DeVito was in it. It was really, they had a couple of local actors, and they had, anyways, I'll give you a brief summary, because in 1975, not everybody as old as we are, Johnny, but for the people that are younger, that appreciate not doing the Canadian Bro Show, that's for sure.
Canadian Yodas.
Yeah, right. So anyways, the summary says the reviewers say One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is praised for its strong performances, exceptionally strong performances by Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher. I believe both of them won Academy Awards. I believe Louise did, and Jack was up for it for head, but he didn't win. And it's powerhouse direction of mental health, which is a huge issue. Look at the title of this thing. It's a very subjective interpretation of whatever that fine line is between being arrogant and confident and being a psychopath and an angel. However, some argue the film lacks the book's complexity. The book is excellent. I have read it. And emotional resonance, which they really tried to do, and I think successfully did in the film. I've seen this film probably over a dozen times over the years, and it's a classic example of Jack Nicholson, McMurphy, has a criminal past and once again has gotten himself into trouble and is sentenced by the court to escape labor duties in prison. The slimeball that McMurphy is pleads insanity and is sent to a ward for the mentally unstable. Once there, McCarthy both endures and stands to witness the abuse and degradation of the oppressive nurse Ratchard, who is just pure unadulterated evil in Johnny and I's pre-show, who gains superiority and just relishes in the power through the flaws of the other inmates and the system itself. McMurphy and the other inmates band together to make a rebellious stance against her atrocious nature and evil. It's such an incredible film. I think it won the best film.
Yeah, I saw this movie on TV with my parents as a kid, and they actually sent me to bed. It was just too intense. It scared me. That was absolutely terrifying, because you really see the sadness and the tragedy of what a truly mentally, some people just, they have loose connections in their minds, and it's
Johnny. We were 9 years old, buddy. We were watching with our parents in our safety of our home.
What were they thinking? That's why I'm so messed up, I think. All the horrible movies I watched as a boy.
And that's saying, Johnny, who do you have next?
You left permanent scars. Okay, my next choice is one of my all-time favorite movies. I've seen it so many times. 2000s, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I hope I'm getting the last name pronounced right. Unbreakable, starring Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, and Robin Wright. Bruce Willis plays a security guard who survives a train crash with no injuries. Everyone else on the train is killed, leading to the realization and the awareness that he harbors superhuman abilities. As he begins to grapple with this discovery, he comes to the attention of disabled comic book store owner Elijah Price, easy for me to say, who manipulates David in order to understand him. This movie has one of the great twist endings of all time, which I will not reveal. And a lot of people thought that it didn't make sense, because it did make sense. Because the reason the bad guys win in this one is because David Dunn, if he had accepted his true nature earlier, he could have prevented a lot of the horrible things that happen in the movie from happening. And it's one of the most powerful themes in film, is when people deny their true calling, the rest of the world suffers. It's an absolute classic.
That is beautiful.
And the scene, and just one more thing I want to say about this movie, the scene where David Dunn, he's walking through the subway through Grand Central Station, and he's just like gently touching people as he's walking along, and the music by James Howard, I think is in, James Newton Howard, and just the realization that he can see all the bad things that all of these people have done. It's one of those absolutely most, like, just satisfying moments in the history of cinema. It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
You know, it's interesting, and you know what it reminds me of? Yeah, no doubt. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of John Carpenter's They Walk. And when they put the glasses on, you can see that they're actually alien zombies.
Exactly. I love that.
Oh my God, man.
The feeling of discovery is always very
really incredible. What a great choice, bro. Very nice. I'm going to go back to one of my favorites, and I was really trying to find truly evil. You know, there's a lot of evil out there. There's a lot of darkness in this world, unfortunately. And of course, Johnny, we're surrounded by the white light of love, and you know, it's important that the good guys win most of the time, and not always they do. And unfortunately, this movie is a classic example of that. It's called Fight Club. Oh. And David Fincher directed it just so beautifully. It was powerful, violent, and a classic. You got Brad Pitt, you got Edward Norton, two powerhouse actors. It's a psychological drama. It's a psychological thriller. And Meatloaf's in it, and it's extremely violent. And I thought it was going to be a dark. What's that? Sorry.
I said, boy, is it ever.
Yeah. Did you see it?
It's quite brutal.
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's a ton of good actors in this, and it was really well done. Helen Bonham Carter was excellent in this big too. And, you know, it was highly reviewed. I'll just give you the quick summary. Reviewers say the Fight Club is celebrated for its bold storytelling and cultural relevance, exploring identity and consumerism and rebellion, as Edward Norton and Brad Pitt's performances are highly praised, with Norton's troubled narrator and Pitt's enigmatic and highly praised. I believe both of them got nominated for awards in this, with Norton's troubled, I would say twisted narrator, and Pitt's enigmatic. Remember his name, Tyler Durden. I just love sometimes that you know, the titles of these guys, and unbeknownst to Tyler, what he's stepping into. Really, it's a Fight Club, but what does that really mean at the end of the day? And David Fincher's direction is unbelievable. It's lauded, visually striking, psychologically intense atmosphere. Despite mixed initial reception and critiques and glorifying violence, which it does, violence itself glorifies itself. Right? It's the filmmaker to capture that. I think he did an excellent job in this movie. Yeah. And I almost chose this film, and when we did our cult movies a couple episodes back.
It definitely qualify.
I think so. But I had to bring it up because of its status, sparking debates, and how earning a place in cinematic history with the end result of what really goes on.
Right. Great choice, Pauly. Okay, my next choice is a movie that we've talked about before, but I picked it because I thought it was appropriate for the genre. A 1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, directed by Philip Kaufman, starring Donald Sutherland, Canadian A, Brooke Adams, Veronica Cartwright, Jeff Goldblum, one of his first movies, and Leonard Nimoy. Based on the 1955 novel by Jack Finney called The Body Snatchers. Sutherland plays a San Francisco health inspector and his colleague who over the course of a few days discover that humans are being replaced by alien duplicates. Each is a perfect biological clone of the person replaced, but devoid of empathy and humanity. And this movie, I won't give it away, but this movie, and we've both seen this movie a bunch of times. I remember talking about it back in kids back in the day. This movie is absolutely one of the most shocking and just nightmare-inducing endings of all time.
And that's all we're going to say about it. That's all we're going to say about it.
1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Dude, I was in the movie theater, and it freaked me out. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm not working tonight. I don't know. I might have called in with a boo-boo injury playing ball or something.
It's quite scarring. You remember the dog with the human face?
Oh, dude, I went back to the thing. It was in Capital 6. I saw it.
Yeah, same here.
So I went back and grabbed a different seat, grabbed some more popcorn, and saw it again. That was the best horror film.
Oh, so good.
I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was, I was kind of young and so on, but good choice, Johnny. It's such a great.
And it was written by W.D. Richter, who also wrote Buckaroo Banzai. What a great writer.
You remember I picked up Buckaroo in our cult films?
I remember.
Love that movie, man. Peter Weller.
Likewise.
My next one is I just honestly I love the brothers that directed it, Ethan and Joel Coen. They're Academy Award women. They're just master. I've seen all their movies, and I will see all his movies. And when this movie came out in 2007, No Country for Old Men, it blew my mind and how dark it was, and truly how evil the movie was. And the evil was personified by the performance of Javier Bardem, who actually, I believe, won the Academy Award for not lead, but anyways, I did mention it once in one of our, I think it was a violent murder mystery type of genres, and I watched it again recently, and Tommy Lee Jones is in it, and Josh Brolin. And Josh Brolin was asked about it all these years later because he was starting off pretty young, right, at the time. And he said, did you have any idea that you were going to be exploding because of an Academy Award when he goes, look, I knew the directors are talented. It was a good script, but I had no idea it was going to be as big as it was. And my God, that movie, I had no idea what was going on. And the very end, it was like one of those movies that it's exhilarating, but it's so sad. And this evil guy comes in and everybody dies and disappears. Right? I mean, and the way he did it is...
Yeah. I just remember something about an oxygen tank. Some kind of tank that he carried around. He was
so the tank, the tank is not, it's not an oxygen tank, although I suppose it could be used as such. When they slaughter animals for mass production in many places in the world, they use gas guns, and they go to the temple of the animal. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, let's keep it family friendly.
Dude, look, it's family. It is family friendly. I mean, we're not a family friendly show, but I mean, with parents, you know, and if your child's of age and you're comfortable in your own house, you can do what you'd like. We're not here telling anybody to do anything. At the end of the day, we're just trying to talk about a genre which is relevant in today. If you look at what's happening in the south of us, as an example.
Here we go.
I'll just leave it at that. Johnny.
Okay, batter up. My next choice is 2007's The Mist, based on the great Stephen King novella, written and directed by Frank Darabont, who also directed the great Shawshank Redemption. Starring Thomas Jane, Marcia Gay Harden, Laura Holden, Andre Braugher, and Toby Jones. The plot follows a group of people in the small town of Bridgeton, Maine, who become trapped inside a supermarket after a mysterious mist envelops the town, concealing deadly Lovecraftian creatures. As fear and paranoia spread, tensions rise among the survivors. While the film is primarily a monster movie, it explores how ordinary people react under extreme circumstances. Well, I'll say, and civilization really hangs by a very frayed thread at all times. It doesn't take a lot for a lot of people to lose their minds. Darabont notably altered the novella's ending, a change that King supported. I mean, this is a super intense horror movie. It reminded me a little bit of the Twilight Zone, that episode where some aliens turned all the power off the small town. Like very quickly, like most of the population of the town just descended into complete panic and anarchy. That's just one of the ugliest aspects of human nature. And this film has a very, very sad and heartbreaking ending, and it's a classic, The Mist, 2007.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, great choice. Great choice. And hard-hitting. And I want to get into a couple of those as well, because I you know, when I was researching the and going back in my mind, I mean, there's movies from the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s too. I mean, and I don't even know the demographic of. I guess our country is probably, our show is not big enough where the demographic is really. I don't even know if it's. But again, there's just so many good movies where it just, you know. Here's a question, and this is what this movie did for me. Is in 1976, I saw a lot of what I would consider, I guess when I was young, horror, borderline science fiction, or, you know, dark, like The Exorcist, stuff like that, right? And it was very, very popular back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Still is to this day, but it's not done as well. This one was done so well it won an Academy Award. It's called The Omen. And it was filmed in 1976.
Yep.
And I'll give you a synopsis by it because it'll come, if you haven't seen it, it will come. It's crazy good, and great acting. Would a movie kill a child? Question mark. Usually not. Does it matter, though, if the child is the Antichrist? Question mark. That's a dilemma faced here by Gregory Peck, the legend actor in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, who takes an abandoned infant only to discover that the boy happens to be the son of Satan. Pure evil, unadulterated in its infancy, fallen into his lap. What happens next? As this end, they bring the reviewer brings up the movie Rosemary's Baby, which I almost put in this. Prove that back in the 60s and 70s, there was just no stopping Satanists. It was quite popular back then.
It was. I remember Race with the Devil. There were a lot of TV movies, those ABC TV movies. Yeah.
Everyone think about it. Yeah, I mean, Peck spends most of the film coming to grips with the boy's true nature, which is just poor shocking. Guy. Too late.
Disappointed in you.
Too late as it turns out, of course, unbeknownst to himself, or maybe it was, and that's why he started to realize that he was in trouble. We're left with an evil little boy on top, similar to what's happening in the world right now, both in movie and the real world, where Damien is unleashed. Go see The Omen.
Yeah.
Freaked you out, 1976.
Wow. The sequels were fun too. Great choice. Okay. I'm going to go with 1989's, directed by Richard Donner, one of my favorite film directors. Yeah. Okay, 1989's one of my favorite Woody Allen movies, and this is one of the ultimate bad guy gets away with it movies. In fact, that's the whole theme of this movie. Crimes and Misdemeanors, written and directed by Woody Allen, starring the absolutely mesmerizing Martin Landau, who plays an ophthalmologist. He's happily married. He's a very successful and very happy and very wealthy philanthropist. He's having an affair with Angelica Houston, and she wants him to divorce his wife, and he breaks it off with her, and she threatens to expose the affair to the public. And I won't spoil the rest of the movie, but it's very, very sad, and you keep waiting for the hammer to fall, and it never does. And also you have Woody Allen playing a film director who's in love with Mia Farrow, and she it's kind of a love triangle between her and him, and Alan Alda, who plays a really oily and unctuous.
They were married earlier in her career, right? We bring up Mia Farrow in two movies when I brought up Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby, that's right. And this kind of two storylines occurring at the same time as the film progresses, and then the Woody Allen character and the Martin Landau character immediately, and it all wraps together beautifully. It's absolutely one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. It's just so hilarious in many scenes, and also very tragic and heartbreaking in other scenes. It's like a great mix of comedy and drama.
The full spectrum with Woody Allen at its finest. He has 5 or 6 movies that will give you the full spectrum and are extraordinary on his best days. And a huge fan. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. Interesting choice. I'm going to go back to a little bit more darkness, as my title was slightly evil, because there's a lot of evil in this world. And this movie was filmed in 1995, and it's called Seven.
Oh, on the list.
Yes. Wow. That's great. Seven came out 22 years ago. But if you still can't trust Kevin Spacey, and I don't, not because of that.
Let's not go there.
But 2 of the movies that are on my list have that man's name on it. And this is the first one. And the other one's equally as impressive, if not better. After his brief, but I can't even say it, heinous turn as a theology-themed serial killer, it would be entirely understandable. Although Spacey's character may not get the bullet to the head in the film's climax. Spoiler word, sorry about that. It doesn't happen until after he claims one More Last Victim, which is just this movie. I had no idea what was going on. Right to the very end, I was just like, what is going on? Evil is going to win in this movie. It looks like it. It packaged a severed head in a box and mailed it to her cop husband, who doesn't find out she was pregnant until
that was gut-wrenching.
He sees the bloody pack. I mean, that's just, I mean, come on, dude.
Wow.
That is not fun, eh?
No.
The police get their man in the end, but rarely has screen vengeance felt so hollow.
Yeah. No, it is one of the greatest movies ever made. I wouldn't watch it a second time, but I remember when I saw it in the theater.
I've seen it two or three times, and that's enough. That's enough. Yeah. It is. Dude, it is scary from the beginning. Even the build-up to all the characters of all of this. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
All the seven sins is incredible.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt are terrific together. Okay,
and Fincher, the director, was unbelievable. It was incredible.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, my next choice is 2009's Drag Me to Hell, written and directed by our old friend Sam Raimi of the Evil Dead series, starring Alison Lohman, Justin Long, Lauren Areva, Dilip Rao, David Paymer. The story focuses on a lone officer who, because she has to prove to her boss that she can make the hard decisions at work, quotes from Wikipedia, chooses not to extend an elderly woman's mortgage. The old woman places a retaliatory curse on her that after 3 days of escalating torment will plunge her into the depths of hell, spoiler warning, to burn for all eternity. This is a super crazy and wild movie, just like all of Sam Raimi's. It's not as well known, I think. I don't think it was very successful. It kind of slipped through the cracks, but it's an absolute compelling classic. Have you seen it?
It's a cult film for sure.
It's so good.
Yeah, I loved it. It's a cult film for sure. I was actually going to do it in the cult film, but I just felt there was better films that are also cult films that he directed and wrote that were better. But at that time, I loved it. A bloodbath. It was like watching Peter Jackson in that zombie film where the crazed doctor, and it was just a gore fest. It was, I think, one of his first films. Have you ever seen it, Peter Jackson?
Lord of the Rings, right?
Before. Oh, way before.
I can't think of the title right now, but I know what you're talking about.
It is blood-soaked, dude. You have to wear a rain jacket, just to go, a Gore-Tex jacket outfit.
Bring an
To
umbrella.
go in there. Just incredible. I'm going back to, because of what I chose last time, I feel without mentioning this movie and this genre and leaving this movie out before you say it would be just not fair. Back to the mid-90s with The Usual Suspects in 1995. Who knew the bad guy is Kaiser Sose? How many times they say that in the movie?
About 50,000. I counted.
So here's a synopsis. A Turkish criminal mastermind with a mythic reputation who set fire to a boat in a pier in an apparent scheme to destroy $91 million of arrivals, cocaine, killing 27 that we know of and leaving behind only a severely burned Hungarian mobster and a chatty conman with cerebral palsy. Roger Verbal Kint. Gotta love those names. Kevin Spacey, again, is just absolutely brilliant. I think he won the Academy Award for Best Actor in this. To tell the tale, as the verbal pieces together what happened in the police interrogation, director Bryan Singer is unbelievable in this movie. Just really incredible. Tells a story in flashbacks where we learn about the 5 felons, including Gabriel Byrne, and then unknown rookie Benicio del Toro, one of the greatest actors of mankind. Top 50 for me. Who met in a seemingly random police lineup to decide to pull off the heist. Or is the whole thing Kaiser Sose's plan all along? The narration is consistently unreliable. Everybody on screen seems to be both a patsy and a potential perpetrator. The storytelling moves at such an insane pace that even when the truth comes out, you just have to applaud the villain from pulling it off.
Great choice.
Great film.
There you go.
Great message.
Yeah.
And this is the epitome of our show today, is this movie.
Okay.
The Usual Suspect.
All right, moving right along. My next choice is Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, a 2003 science fiction action film, the third installment in the Terminator franchise and a sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day, directed by Jonathan Mostow, who directed one of my favorite movies, Breakdown, with Kurt Russell. Stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nick Stahl, Claire Danes, and Christiana Loken. Its plot: the malevolent artificial intelligence Skynet sends a TX, a highly advanced and highly easy on the eyes Terminator, back in time to ensure the rise of machines by killing top members of the Future Resistance, as John Connor's location is unknown. The Resistance sends back a reprogrammed T-850 to protect John and Kate. Look, the first two-thirds of this movie is a pretty good, if not great, rehashing of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. But the ending of this movie, wow! I mean, really one of the great surprise endings of all time. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my jaw just fell to the floor. Like, I had no... I thought that...
I mean, that's the whole point of this episode, I think. And evil and darkness.
I mean, when they're going down the stairs and they realize that they're in this bunker that was built from the 1970s, like, wow, like that was a super creative and super bold creative choice.
I thought that was excellent, and it seriously it catches you in a moment where you're just like, what?
Exactly. Did I just see
that? Are you what's going on?
It's got to be more, right? What, the credits are rolling? No, this can't be right.
Well, I mean, and that's even better when somebody can do that. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, and I just want to talk about the best, and there's so many good ones here too. But and I've hit on some really good ones, and there's some obvious ones, Johnny, and I'm sure you probably saw a few obvious ones, but there's just one that it got me so screwed up. I didn't know what to do after I finished watching it. I didn't know what I watched. I knew there was something dark. I knew somebody was a murderer. I knew people got killed, but I just could not follow it. And have you ever seen a movie called Memento?
Yes, but ironically, I barely remember it.
Psychological thriller, suspense mystery,
I had to take notes while I was watching, just like the main character.
Well, it's one of my favorite directors of all time. I mentioned our favorite directors. I mentioned him a couple of times. Christopher Nolan, once again, created this masterpiece with just the unbelievable lead presence of Guy Pearce, who is an exceptional actor, and Carrie-Anne Moss, Canadian, who I love, and a great character actor, has been in so many movies, Joe Pantoliano. Honestly, this movie just really... It just took me away, and I watched it, and Callum Keith Rennie was in my acting class, and we were in the same acting class, and I felt like we were both going to blow up, and he blew up, and I didn't. Anyways, he was a great actor. This is a highly recommended movie, and I'll just give you, I have to give you the summary because I didn't know what the hell I just watched for the first time. I watched it the second time, I didn't know until I rented the movie, and then I was like, oh my God. I am really stupid, or I must have been...
Christopher Nolan's movies, you really have to pay attention.
You do. Yeah, you absolutely.
Puts a lot of detail into his stories.
So listen to this. Reviewers say Memento is acclaimed for its inventive narrative and exploration of memory and identity. Guy Pearce's compelling performance and Christopher Nolan's direction are highly praised. The film's technical elements, such as usual, cinematography, editing, receive significant recognition. However, some find its complexity and non-linear structural demanding. And it is, you have to pay attention. Despite this, Memento is often seen as a rewarding and thought-provoking experience that benefits from multiple viewings.
Yeah, it does.
It is exceptional. Once you get it.
He has a short-term memory. So he's trying to find the murderer of his wife, if I'm recalling correctly. And
he lives by stick-it notes and writing down
like his name written on his arm. He's got like his whole body's tattooed.
Yeah.
Like really
and he carries a pad and he writes on doors and everything. It's really, really well done.
Great choice. Okay. I'm going to go with 2012's Avengers Infinity War. It is the third series in the Avengers franchise, which began with 2012's Avengers, continued with the Age of Ultron. Directed by the Russo brothers, an ensemble cast, including the great they're all great. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Don Cheadle, Benedict Cumberbatch, who's absolutely amazing as Doctor Strange. In the film, the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy team up and attempt to stop Thanos from collecting the 6 powerful Infinity Stones as part of his quest to kill half of all life in the universe. And this movie is basically the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel movies. It has a really, absolutely just stomach-dropping a cliffhanger of an ending where the bad guy wins. Boy, does he ever! And some of our favorite characters from those movies seemingly disappear from all of time and space. I love all of these movies, but this one, it has a real growing kick of an ending. And so that's why I chose this one for the podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean,
these movies, I feel, Paul. You're just not into. That's okay. It's not your taste, right? These Marvel movies.
I actually haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've been waiting patiently, and I have to see it. But I was told that you have to watch them in succession to really figure out what.
Well, I mean, it's better. Yeah, you always want to start from the start, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see it like you wouldn't believe. It's exactly my type of film. But
cool.
Certainly my next film is exactly my type of film because I did not expect it to be this good. This is 1980 Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, in relation to what you just said. And I personally, when I heard the director, I was like, what? Irvin Kershner does an incredible job in this, and there's obviously a huge budget. But the writers, Leah Brackett, Lawrence Kasdan, once again, and George Lucas, with Mark Hamill, Harrison, and bringing everyone back, Carrie Fisher. This film was, from beginning to end, Billy D. Williams. I mean, it just goes on. There's so many, Alec Guinness and Frank Oz, and it just goes on and on and on. And reviewers say the Empire Strikes Back distinguishes itself with a darker tone, which I really appreciated. A deeper character development, much needed, because, we had no idea that there's going to be this many episodes, right? And mature storytelling. Key themes included good versus evil, exactly what this episode's about. Good versus evil, really. And the complexity of the Force and Luke Skywalker's growth. New characters like Yoda and Landu and Carlissian enrich the narrative. I loved all three of them. I thought it was fantastic, that character development in the narrative. And the film delves into the consequences, betrayal, redemption, creating an emotional, resonant experience. Darth Vader's true identity revelation significantly impacts the saga, of course, from a Canadian actor. Visual effects, action sequences, and John Williams' score enhanced the film, making it a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, that's the only movie that I ever skipped at. Brian Elk, our mutual friend, went to that movie in 1980. We skipped out as it premiered on a Wednesday, and we actually did not attend class. We played hooky so that we could be the first to talk about that movie. Yeah,
you've told me that.
I mean, the special effects, the asteroid chase, and the walkers on the legs, the big snow battle, they still hold up. And they were done with models. I mean, they actually used models back in the day.
I know, but I mean, the combination of CGI and set, and they were filming in Arctic. They were filming in live places.
Yeah.
And they had good weather too. Like, to put that together is extraordinary. I mean, what is it, 3 hours?
Oh, I can't remember, but it was longer than the first one.
Okay, are you done, or is you have another?
I have one more, and then I'm done. I have one more on my list. Maybe I'll go online and try to find another one.
Okay, I have one more after yours.
Okay, cool. Okay. My last choice is 19.
Well, I have more than that, but I'll just.
Okay, we can however you want to do it. 1984, which was released in 1984, very timely. Dystopian film written and directed by Michael Radford, based on George Orwell's 1949 novel, 1984, one of the greatest novels ever written, starring John Hurt, Richard Burton, the always great Richard Burton, Susanna Hamilton. The film follows the life of Winston Smith, a low-ranking civil servant in an alternate timeline. It's a war-torn London ruled by Oceania, a totalitarian superstate. Smith struggles to maintain his sanity and his grip on reality as the regime's overpowering power and influence persecutes individualism and individual thinking on both a political and personal level. I read this book in high school, and it absolutely shaped the way I think. such as it is. When I do think, I like to think that I do at least on occasion. And my quote unquote philosophy of life is that basically freedom rocks, and people who are into power and control, there's really only one thing that they understand, and that's kicking the balls. This is a very unhappy movie, but it makes you think. And I also think that it makes those of us who live in the free nations, the developed nations, it makes us feel damn grateful that we're living where we're living, and that this kind of world that George Orwell so beautifully painted back in the day could happen, and it has happened all throughout history. There have been regimes like this.
It's happening currently just south of us, in its beginning stages. No, it is, and I read the book back in the 70s when it came out, and one of my mom's 1,000 books that were in the place. I just read it, and honestly, it was the most frightening book I've ever read.
Yeah,
for me.
Oh,
because I looked at what was going on in history with communism and the fall of the wall and I see what's going on south of us, and what a certain minority of people, they actually vision a life like that. And personally, I think that's
probably a nightmare. We're living a dream.
I'm telling you, man, that's why I chose this title. Because this is hard hitting, and it's funny you chose this film, because guess what I'm going to hit next?
There's a scene. I just want to say one more thing about this movie.
Sure.
From the book, taken right from the book. There's a scene where Richard Burton, who plays O'Brien, the villainous O'Brien, he puts a cage on John Hurt's face. Poor John Hurt. What he has to suffer in all of his movies, like with Alien. And this cage has a rat at the end of it, and there's like 3 slats. And every time Richard Burton removes a slat, the rat gets closer to John Hurt's face.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, it's like a lot of people in the audience were losing their minds watching.
And I used to think that John Hurt looked 80 years old at 40 before
He's one
anybody
of
else.
those guys that always looked old. Yeah, you're right about that. That's
but then I found out he smoked like 3-4 packs a day for years.
Contributing
and drinks a lot of coffee and used to like the booze, and who knows, everybody's different. And I saw the movie and blew my mind. And by the way, Richard Burton's last film, even though he wasn't actually, he filmed a couple. Yeah, he died shortly thereafter. He had his liver was failing, and I think he had liver failure actually, and died of alcoholism at the end. Quite sad, but yeah, I mean, perfect for the movie because he was dark and he was bigger, larger than life. He went out exactly like he wanted to be, I guess.
Right.
But the next movie is a movie by director Terry Gilliam, who is one of my favorite writers of all time, of the Monty Python crew. And I love all of his movies. And this one is called Brazil. And it is the perfect last film of this excellent episode 40. And after what Johnny just said, Brazil just takes us to a darker level, a new level. And this is a modern version. It's Terry Gilliam obviously did this on George Orwell and took it to a different light. And he had great writers. He was the main writer. He had Tom Stoppard, who's a great writer. Charles McEwen. He had Jonathan Pryce. I think won an Academy Award for not lead but assistant. Kim Geist and Robert De Niro. People forget Robert De Niro was in this movie. And Gilliam, of course, had a fantastical direction. Everything is just visual and the set design. And the cinematography and the angles. It's absolutely captivating film. It's scary. Ian Holm, Tom Hoskins, Ian Richardson, Michael Palin, Peter Vaughan. I mean, it just goes on. Barbara Hicks. They're all friends. They all probably went to the pint after filming this movie. I'm telling you. Great reviews and the storyline. Sam Lowry, Jonathan Pryce, is a harried technocrat in a futuristic society that needlessly convoluted and inefficient. Needlessly, how about intelligent? How about intentionally? He dreams of a life where he can fly away from technology and overpowering bureaucracy and spend eternity with the women of dreams. Wow, that sounds pretty like everybody else's, does it? No?
Yeah.
For a guy, anyways, and women too. And then while trying to rectify a wrongful arrest of one of Harry Buddle, Brian Miller, Lowry meets a woman he's always chasing in his dreams, Kim Geist and Joe Layton. Meanwhile, the bureaucracy has fingered him responsible for a raft of terrorist bombings. Of course, none of that actually happened, did it? Or could it be someone else? And Sam and Jill's lives are put in danger. This thing unfolds, and the tagline on this, it's only a state of mind. If you were lucky enough to have an altered state of mind, say having mushroom tea or chocolate with some goodness put in it, or a little Dubarino, this movie would take you to heights.
That sort of thing.
It blew my mind. I've seen it about 10, 12 times. It's an incredible film. Yeah. And please go see it. It's not what you think. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. It actually has two endings. There's actually a version with a happier ending, which Terry Gilliam fought again. He wanted the darker ending.
Oh, he was upset. Actually, the movie that Terry Gilliam filmed was butchered. He lost about 48 minutes from his cut. And they created a whole new ending. And they spliced it up. You're right. That was a good point. That's quite tragic, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got, Johnny.
Yeah, me too. I'm done and done.
Yeah, so I mean, thank you for that. That was really entertaining. Did you have a book that you would like to showcase?
Yeah, I have a book and a pun. It's the same book from our last podcast, but it's a long one. It's a very weighty tome, Herman Wouk's War and Remembrance. It is the sequel to The Winds of War. Again, as I said on the last podcast, sorry for the repetition, it's basically the Lord of the Rings of World War II stories. It's the whole history of World War II, starting with Pearl Harbor, and it ends with Hiroshima, told from the point of view of a military family. And Hitler and Churchill and Roosevelt, they're all main characters. And it was made into an ABC miniseries back in the 80s with Robert Mitchum. And my boy, Jan Michael Vincent, who plays Byron Henry, I absolutely was checking out. And Herman is one of my favorite authors. He's such a good writer.
Great stuff. And we both love that Second World War stuff. But
The Cane Meet Me, he also wrote.
Remember, people, when evil prevails, darkness takes the crown. So there's evil all around us. Let's surround ourselves and our people alike with the white light of love and fight evil, and fight by being kind and generous and loving and care about people and compassion. This world's crazy. This message, unlike the title, is a message of love, of kindness, of joy. Thank you very much. Johnny and I are extremely happy that you had found time to watch this. This episode will be released probably in the next week or so. We've got a backlog of videos, which is not a bad thing. We're very happy to do this. I'm really glad we took a genre and we twisted around to create something that nobody talks about. So thank you for that, Johnny.
I never would have thought of it. It's really great.
Well, thank you. I was just trying to... Oh, and before we go, Johnny's got one pun, and then our final farewell. Thank you.
Let's do this. Okay. This morning, Pauly, I was at an antique store, and I was checking out this coffee table that was designed by Vincent van Gogh. I asked the dealer if it was authentic. He said, yeah, but it has a bit of veneer missing.
Oh, God. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time and effort. Please subscribe, like. Just be kind out there, everyone. We love you. Thanks for watching. Johnny, thanks, bro. Episode 40.
Cheers.
Thanks for helping. And to all you out there, be kind. It's free. It's easy. Make somebody day.
Thank you.
Peace, love, and happiness.
Please love us. Please like, subscribe, share, comment.